What we now call doping or using performance-enhancing drugs at the time was more open, and there was no drug testing.
Trainers prided themselves in concocting special brews and guarded them as secrets. So when the trainers handed up a bottle to their riders, their rivals considered it a mystery that might give them an edge. One such rider was Holland's national champion, Piet van Kempen.
Van Kempen had maybe 10 bottles, all different colors and shit.
Some brews were cocktails of caffeine from coffee or cola nut extract, like the original Coca-Cola. A popular beverage to get riders stoked up consisted of ether, sugar, and cognac.
And you could smell that ether. The Belgians used to take cognac with ether on sugar.
Sure,
You could smell it all over the place. Oh, sure.
A lot of the fellows, a lot of the six-day racers would use performance-enhancing drugs like strychnine or cocaine, which were popular at the time and more wide open and more readily accessible from drugstores.
Riders called cocaine concoctions eagle soup. It made the rider fly like an eagle. There were no drug tests. Stimulants were just a part of doing business.
They didn't look at it as being unfair, trying to get an advantage over your opponent, because everybody that was racing was using some kind of a stimulant to keep them going.
The mechanics at trackside kept the bikes repaired. One of the master mechanics, identified in countless newspaper and magazine photos as the ball man with the Buddha smile, was John Pop Brennan.
Pop Brennan raced early on in the teens and later made his living as a chandelier maker. And one of the beauties of that skill was that he was able to bend tubing for handlebars, and the riders knew that. And eventually he opened up his bicycle shop. He began building handlebars for all the riders. He began building bicycle frames, some of the finest in the world.
In my book, it was one of the best. You can have a better mechanic and a better person doing repair work on your bike. In fact, I got so I didn't want anybody to touch the bike unless it was Pop Brennan.
He set up shop in a corner of the first turn off the end of the garden's finishing straight where people could watch. Crashes twisted wheels into pretzels. Sometimes frames were bent from the violent impact of crashes. Brennan made all the repairs. His motto was, "We fix everything but a broken heart." In his corner off the track, he clamped bent frames down on a table with a special vise equipped with a variety of jawheads and straightened them back to their original shape. Mangled wheels received a makeover. He deftly removed the spokes, tossed away splintered wooden rims, laced up new spokes through the hubs into fresh rims, and put on a new tire. When a lull settled after a jam, Pop Brennan stepped onto the inside of the track and signaled to the wheel's owner. With a practiced flick of his fingers, he spun the wheel and set it on the boards and let it roll unaided to its owner. Many Midwest races were presided over by Oscar Waston of Chicago.
My dad loved bicycle racing. I mean, give him a choice of going and promoting and helping or going to see a bike race, he'd close the store in a second. I mean, his love was cycling, and that was complete.
When Waston wasn't wrenching at the sixes, he made frames for the Schwinn Bicycle Company and introduced the famous line of Paramounts.
When there was going to be a six-day race in any major city, the promoter, of course, had to get a track built for the event. They bought the lumber, they hired the contractors, and they went and built the tracks for that event.
The board ovals were made of high-grade pine or spruce. They called for 60,000 feet of boards cut into a standard of 1 1/4 inches thick, 2 inches wide, and planed on all four sides. Carpenters erected the support structure for the towering turns, banked 45 to 50 degrees and straights of 27 degrees. Then the boards were laid on edge like a bowling alley and just as smooth. The banking enabled riders to remain upright on the track at all times. Carpenters nailed a ton of 8-penny nails into the boards from underneath so nothing poked through. Each six-day had a new track smelling of fresh-cut wood. Construction typically started promptly after a Saturday night hockey game or boxing match.
It would involve an army of carpenters, cutting boards and hammering nails. But they could put it up in 10 hours for a total cost of labor and materials for $5,000.
By the following evening, cyclists would roll over the carpet of boards. The tracks made a thrumming drone as the riders whirled over the boards.
I used to crawl around under the track and under the bleachers because I could find coins. The track was right above me, and every time the riders would go by, and then it'd go on again. You'd hear this rumble.
Only the audience's yelling and the infield orchestra's music made the drone disappear. Tracks that had too sharp a transition from the bank turns to more modest straights created a shoulder that threw riders into the air. Shoulders made it difficult to control the front wheel and created a dead man's curve.
The worst one I ever rode on was Milwaukee. That was the worst track. You could not ride into the turn all out. You had to be high on it going in the turn. Well, that was a lesson to me. What had happened, you see, they had to turn in going like this, and then they, too quick, on came almost a straight wall. And it would throw the bike, pedal would hit. Because if you go around some of the sections of the track, your pedal is only missing about 4 inches or so from going the left pedal anyway, because you're this way. And this time it didn't miss anything. It hit the track, and my bike just disintegrated. It's something you had to see, or it was really funny.
When the event was over, then the track had to be dismantled rapidly. So the track was torn down by carpenters using saws, and then typically was sold for firewood.